All right, we're now live. Let me start it up. I'll cut this part. It doesn't really matter.
Are you rubbing your hands?
Yeah, man. This is preparation time. Okay.
I can clearly see that on the mic. You just rubbing your hands, like, throw chalk up in there like LeBron.
Listen, I gotta do that Birdman hand rub to get ready. You got the sound down. Oh man. All right. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for listening to the, I guess, technically second, but officially the first episode. It was supposed to be the second episode because I was trying to do a fresh start for us to have our third host in, but I guess he couldn't make it today, so it's all good. What's going on, Delvin Cox?
What happened to that boy?
Oh, jeez. I'm still not prepared. I don't know why this still makes me anxious to start talking, and because I guess it's like, okay, once you start, you got to keep going. You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna cut this. Well, I technically could cut it out. I had to make a lot of edits in the last podcast. It's like you would say something, and I'd like pause. It'd take me like a good maybe 1 to 2 seconds in between to respond, come back with my response. I'm like, why was I taking all these awkward pauses? And so I'd cut those. And so it was like the conversation was flowing more normally. So I just scroll through, and anywhere I'd see a break, I kind of close it up a little bit. So I don't know if you know, did you actually listen to the podcast?
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing because I lived it, but I listened to it. It's weird listening to a conversation that you already had. I feel like I'm talking to the feds.
Yeah, but it's like I wanted to check it out because I wanted to kind of listen to how I was doing, but you've done this a lot, so you don't need to. But so I can see it.
Listen to it.
Yeah, man, I know I can see it from your point of view, where it's like, I don't really need to listen to myself. I've been doing this for a minute, but me, I'm still kind of new with it, so I'm like, okay, well, I want to see where I can go better, what I can improve for next time. But yeah, overall, it wasn't too bad. It was just a pretty natural conversation, other than those long pauses. We still need to get that intro correct. I came up with a couple of them, but then it was like, I'm still tweaking a little bit. But what's been going on with you for this week, man?
Nothing, man. We did a big episode of the Delvin Cox Experience yesterday. We'll probably debut next week.
Really? What was going on?
It's a round table about gun control. It's a real big round table. It's with me, my guy Christian from According to Sources, Edward Varnell, my man D-Spin. Is that it? I feel like I'm missing somebody, but check it out next week. It was dope.
Yeah, it sounds interesting, man. I wish I could have joined in on there with y'all, man. But did I get an invite to that one?
I sent out the message for like 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, and I just put it out on Twitter like, hey, I want to do a big episode about gun control. And as soon as I said that, like 10, 15 people answered.
I never saw that. Like I follow way too many people. Like some people's tweets just get lost in crap, the stuff that I actually need to see. So I'm gonna have to go on an unfollowing spree. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to listen to that. I'm gonna make sure to retweet that when it actually comes down the timeline.
Yeah, that was a good one. And the one that came out today was with my guy Serge from Backbuster Blues. Is that the name of his podcast? No,
Backlog Blues?
Backlog Blues, yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. Does he do podcasting, or does he do like YouTube videos? I don't remember.
Podcast. That's what we talk about, his podcast, Backlog Blues, or I want to get the name right. I don't want to.
I'm like 90% sure it's black. It's not. Well, see, you got me messing up. It's backlog blues or something like that. I'm pretty sure. As far as me, every week is pretty much like 90% the same as the other one. And there, this week, as far as news and like updates on me, like nothing's really been popping off other than the release of the first episode of the Skyward cast, which was it was pretty cool. It was kind of cool to see everyone's feedback and see that people actually wanted to hear more of it. Because I listen to myself and I'm like, do people really want to hear what I had to say? Because I sound kind of boring and But anyway, I'm overly plus I'm overly critical, which is something I'm working on. But you know what? Let's get into a topic. I know that. Well, I started talking about the before in our pre-podcast conversation. I wanted to talk about was it Sony dropping support for the PS3 and PS Vita? What is it, in March 2019 for PS Plus, which is not really a big deal because it's like you knew that was going to happen at some point, especially for the PS3. Like, what has it been? 2018. It's, oh my god, it's like 12, 13 years or 14 years? No.
Like that,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's had a long run, so I expected for that. But just to see that the Vita is like this, finally the last nail in the coffin for the Vita. I mean, that's the only reason that this has any type of weight to it. It's just that, because I never felt that it got its proper shine, because it's like it had the hardware and the software even in the beginning to compete with the 3DS, but Sony just never kept it up and just turned it into an accessory for the PS4. But I mean, that's not really a major thing, but
the Vita failed because you're right, 100%. There was no backup for it, and the Vita was supposed to be what the Switch is today.
Yeah, and I feel like it could have been. I feel like it still could have been if Sony wouldn't have been greedy with that whole proprietary memory situation. Like, they could have just said, you know what, we're gonna come out with a 2000 version and we're gonna give you just standard micro SD cards. But they were like, you know what, nah, we're gonna go from proprietary charging cables to just giving you micro USB, but not like standard memory, which was the dumbest situation ever. I don't understand. Whoever made that decision need to be fired, because that completely stopped it from being a success. Like, it was actually like there was a Black Friday where they actually sold out on Amazon. Like, and people were surprised. Like, it sold a lot, but it just couldn't keep up the momentum because it's like people still outside of Black Friday with all those bundles, you couldn't justify it, with all those high prices on memory and all that. So
I remember when it came out because I got it when it first came out. I waited in line at the Best Buy for about a few hours to get it. It was a line, like a long, long line.
Dang. So
it seemed like from that it was going to be a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
But Sony never capitalized on it in terms of, like, when it first came out, they had these big exclusive games like Uncharted and Killzone and all these other games. Then they just stopped doing it.
I don't know what caused them to just be like, you know what, it's not working, let's just drop it. Because it's like it was getting support. I don't understand where that went wrong, but they just kind of threw it under the bus and was just like, well, that's it. Let's it's a legacy product right now, so now we're gonna move on to PSVR. I don't understand. And at this point, right, the Vita would have been a more sure bet than VR. I mean, I don't understand why they decided that was where they wanted to go. All the money that was put into exclusives for VR, they could have put that toward the PS Vita, but is what it is. That's like it's dead, unfortunately.
Well, it seems like the VR part is kind of working for them because PlayStation VR is the most successful out of all the VR systems.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as VR goes, I mean, it's PlayStation brand, you know what I mean? So that gives it some hype. It's a lot more affordable, especially when they now, they got that deal for $200. So it's I get that. But still, I mean, especially now that the Switch is out, I guess they didn't really see this being as big, the Switch being as big as it is too. So maybe Sony will do their usual thing of copying what works for Nintendo. I mean, I hate to, say that they're just like complete copycats, but they do. Sometimes they'll come out with stuff that's just a straight like bootleg. But If they came out with a Vita 2, I wouldn't be mad. I'd buy it, honestly.
I'd buy it, but I don't think they should.
Why not? What would be wrong with coming out with a Vita 2?
As much as I would love to have a Vita 2, the Switch kind of has that market on lock. Everything that you kind of want for Vita 2, the Switch is kind of doing.
It's doing it, but it's not doing it the best. They could come through and give it better online. All those issues that people are having, with Nintendo not providing online modes for games, all Sony has to do is just come through with an equivalent. I know they can't beat them like when it comes to Mario or something like that, but if they were to give it the proper support, give it online that is just as good as on PS4, package that with the portability, and it's a big competitor. You know what I mean? So I think it could win. All they had to do is just fix everything that went wrong with the Vita, and it's good.
I don't think they want to anymore, though. I think they're content with where they're at. The PlayStation 4 is selling like hotcakes. You can kind of see even now, they've kind of taken their foot off the gas in a sense.
A little bit. I mean, I can definitely see that, but I don't know. I want to see something. I want to see something fresh. I want to see them do something that's going to just not blow my mind. I mean, of course, I'd love it if they did something that was mind blowing, but just shake things up a little bit. Just sticking to consoles from here on out. I don't think they need to do that because I think they really could be successful. I mean, it was everything that went wrong last generation was just like completely their fault. And like, imagine if Nintendo would have done what they're doing with that and just abandoning. You know what? They kind of did do that. With the Switch, they basically did abandon traditional consoles because it didn't work out. It worked out with the Wii, but it kind of didn't.
Did with the Wii. The Wii's not traditional whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's like it worked out with the Wii because they kind of captured that casual market, but it didn't work out also because they didn't capture the traditional gamer. So when it came to like attachment rates for games other than Mario Kart and New Super Mario Bros. And Mario Galaxy, it kind of sucked. Yeah, and Wii Sports, which came packaged, it sucked. So they still failed on that point. So hardware-wise, it did well. Otherwise, it sucked. And then that reflected in the sales of the Wii U because those same people, after you took away the gimmick, that's all you had left. And so they were like, okay, traditional consoles aren't really working for us. Let's do what works. So now you got the ultimate handheld. So, I mean, I get it. But anyway.
Speaking of video games, let's get into the big news about a game that we both love to see come out. Detroit Become Human comes out in 2 months, essentially, right?
May 25th. Is that 2 months?
Yes, March now, April, May, yeah.
Oh, geez, man, my sense of time is off right now. Man, the year, the months are just blowing by, man. That's crazy. It really is coming out that soon. Yeah. Oh, man. So I'm hyped for it, but truth is, I've never really been too big into Quantic Dreams, their style of gameplay. I mean, I thought what was that? The first big game they had it was like the murder mystery. I have it. I can't remember the name. It was on PS3.
You're talking about what is his name? I can't remember right now. When you said it, I can't remember the name.
What was it?
This is one of my favorite games too. That's the crazy thing about it.
It was the freaking origami killer.
Jason!
That game has some terrible voice acting. Oh,
Heavy Rain.
Oh, yes, that's what it is. Yeah, that I played through it and I thought it was average. I don't know if the graphics look good. I thought that was cool. The gameplay was kind of interesting. The acting, man, that threw me out of my experience a lot. But anyway, that's years ago. So for this to kind of get more, but it's like how it should have been in the first place, like the best example of that type of gameplay, I'm interested, definitely. But yeah, I'm not That's not on my top list. What about you?
See, I love Quantic Dream. I'm the complete opposite. I loved Heavy Rain. I loved what was the one that came after that one? It was another one that came out right after that with Ellen Page.
Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls. I loved that one. And they had another game even before that one called Fahrenheit that I liked a lot.
I never heard of that.
That one was on like PlayStation 2, if I'm correct.
I missed out on so many games.
But I love storytelling games, period. Though. So that's just the thing I am about. So when I found out about this game, Detroit Become Human, I fell in love with how it looks. And plus, it's something I love a lot in terms of sci-fi.
So you love those, what's that company that makes all those storytelling games? Telltale.
I love Telltale. Yes, I do. They're one of my favorite companies. I love Telltale. And I love Supermassive.
Supermassive.
The guys who make Until Dawn.
I never played that either. Jeez, see there.
You never played Until Dawn?
No, look, never like that. I can't talk. 90% of the games that came out this generation, I never touched them.
I'll put it to you this way. You say how you were saying about the Quantic Dream games that you don't like?
Mm-hmm.
How they play and how the acting is? Until Dawn is a better version of those games.
So it actually gets it right. It doesn't sound like bad soap opera acting.
Well, it kind of does in a sense, but it fits the story because the story of Until Dawn is it's supposed to be like a cheesy horror film.
Okay. I mean, I've never really been into the horror genre, but I'm sure it's bargain bin prices right now. So once I actually get around to actually getting another PS4, I'll have that on the list somewhere. Maybe.
Now, you probably can find that game for like $10, $15 now, if that. Great game.
I'll probably look into it. I don't. When it comes to games, though, I try my best not to get a backlog because I hate the idea of games feeling like a chore. You know what I mean? Okay, well, I got these games to complete, so then I can get to these ones. You know what I mean? Like I had a serious issue with that before, where I was buying all these games, and then it was like, okay, all right, I want to play these ones, but then maybe I should play these ones. It was just too much. I had overload, and I didn't want to play anything.
Yeah, I had a big problem with that last year.
So
because of all the games that came out, I literally beat almost none of them, and I have all of them.
Yeah, it's too overwhelming. You know what I mean? You just it's I had this. I don't even want to go into that. I made a decision that I'm gonna stick to what I used to do is maybe pick up maybe 2 to 3 games. You play through those, you dedicate your time to those, enjoy them. Don't worry about everything else. And then you get to the next ones when the time comes. And that's just, I enjoy things a lot better that way instead of thinking, okay, well, I want to play through this one, especially like if it's something like the Assassin's Creed series and you just got like 6 games if you actually want to play through the entire series. Like I hate actually thinking of it like, okay, like each game is an obstacle till I can get to the next one. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just try to stick to it and just enjoy it for what it is.
Definitely. So what do you think? How do you think, shall I say, the controversy behind everything with Quantic Dreams will affect the sales of the game? Do you know what the controversy was exactly? Or shall I explain it to the audience?
I mean, no, hey, give them a summary for the people that didn't know about it.
Okay. For those who don't know, Quantic Dream got in hot water, which they are blatantly denying. They said this is not true, where a few ex-employees of Quantic Dream have come out making statements saying that the atmosphere around the company is very toxic. It's kind of like a dude bro atmosphere where people kind of talk to you any kind of way and they say rude and crude racist jokes, and they're basically immature. It's a very kind of toxic environment. And as you know, you can't really have that kind of sexist, toxic environment in this generation. So
I don't know. It's in a world where everyone is so ultra sensitive. I want to kind of look over this and I wish I could actually see it for myself to decide because everyone is picking apart. They're picking at everything, right? Even things that's just like, it's real casual. You know what I mean? So I guess some people could just get too casual to the point where I guess some people would say, oh, this is inappropriate work behavior, but it's not actually bad. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I check. I can't really look into it. I don't think that information is available. Is it? All the stuff that actually went down?
You can look up stuff. You can look, but they're not gonna it's not like exactly in deep detail to what they've said and done. Mm-hmm. But there is like conversations, and like I said, they're vehemently denying it. It's not like they're saying, oh, it could have happened. They're saying, no, this is not happening whatsoever. So to their credit, they're fighting it. I don't know if it's having a positive effect on them or not, but they've been denying it.
Oh, hey, well, hopefully that is the case, and it's actually, maybe it's just some angry ex-employees that are trying to get some revenge. And it's pretty easy with how things are in society right now. All you got to do is just say that something is wrong. Hey, there's some type of harassment going on, and everyone will just jump on it, without even getting evidence of whether it's true or not, so it could be the case. Hopefully all works out and it doesn't actually, and if it is true, I'm not going to say like, okay, well, hopefully it just doesn't ruin the release of the game. Because if it is true, something needs to be done, and games can wait. But if it's all false and it's just a bunch of bull crap, hopefully that doesn't get in the way of a potentially good game getting out to the people.
Well said.
So Papa John's, it's not a good segue at all, but it just kind of, I'm reading off the list of topics because I'm inexperienced. I don't know if that's the main event. It's one of them. It's one of the mains that you talked about. But yeah, Papa John's losing their NFL. They're losing their title as the official pizza of the NFL to Pizza Hut.
I wonder how that changes. Just the logistics of it. Because Peyton Manning was a big part of that.
I'd assume that they're just going to have the same dudes, but the face of a different pizza brand. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. Peyton Manning is like really good friends with the Papa John's guy.
Hey, well, man, I don't know. Sometimes you got to be like, hey, this is business. Our friendship... Like, you messed this, especially if he messed it up. You know what I mean? He's the one that said, okay, well, hey, man, these people fighting for their rights, they're getting in the way of us making money with our pizza. You gotta control your players a little better. Like, when you get out there and say something stupid like that, you deserve whatever comes to you. So, if I were Peyton Manning, I'd say, hey, man, like, I don't know what to tell you. You should have kept your mouth shut. So,
could this be a situation like with the Sprint guy? The guy who was in Verizon and now he's with Sprint?
Oh, man. Yeah, I know you saw me over there with those guys, but
screw those guys. I like these guys better.
Yeah, I've become enlightened, and this is the way you should go now. Yeah, especially when they're paying me more. Oh, man. But
that commercial always amuses me because it's like, you ever used to watch wrestling?
No, I've never been a big wrestling fan.
Not even in its heyday?
Nope. Always a cartoon.
Well, you'll get the reference. It's like when you see a guy at WWE one night and then the next night he's just popping up at WCW.
Yeah, I get it. But of course it would never have the same impact. Would never have the same impact for me because of course I saw all those Verizon commercials, so it was like, what? The Verizon dude is on Sprint, especially if you're taking shots, man. Like, he's like, they must paid him crazy. One, they probably don't have to pay him crazy because he's just a normal guy, but yeah. I wonder if like when he left, was there like a period of time where it's like, okay, you can't go over to another business and like, so that they actually could have done that, because it was a long period in between Verizon and Sprint, wasn't it?
Yeah, I want to say a couple years, but it's crazy because usually they'll have contracts like you can't never do other competitors commercial. Period.
Well, it's
like for example, that is you remember the guy who used to do the commercial for PlayStation?
Which guy?
I think it was Kevin something.
Oh yeah, dang, I remember him. Kevin Butler.
Yeah, Kevin Butler. He got sued because he was in a Nintendo ad a couple years back.
Really?
Yeah, he was in a Mario. I think it was Mario Kart 8 commercial.
Yeah, didn't they fire him for that?
Yeah. I think he did the commercial after he got fired.
Oh.
Well, then they tried to sue him.
Dang. I mean, look, if it was in the contract, I totally understand. That seems a little harsh though. Jeez. I mean, it's not like, maybe like unless like deep company secrets, it seems like that's a little over the top to sue you for, pursuing other avenues. You know what I mean? You're an actor. You trying to make it wherever you can get it. But I guess, you got to draw the line somewhere when it comes to company activities, because he could be, spreading, what do you call it? Well, basically just spreading company secrets. But I mean, he's an actor. Like, what does he really know that goes deep into the company though?
Okay. I found out what it was. The Kevin Butler thing. On September 11, 2012, Sony sued Lambert for trademark infringement due to his appearance in a Bridgestone commercial that featured the Wii as part of a sales promotion.
Oh, I remember that crap. And that was so unfair because it's not even, it wasn't even officially Nintendo. It was just, wasn't it like a tire freaking company? It was some type of car company. And it was like, hey, if you buy our tires and we'll package in a Wii. That wasn't even officially competition. It was just the competition happened to be associated with the brand that he was associated with. That's ridiculous to me.
And they ended up settling out of court. And he had to agree to not appear in video game advertisements for 2 years.
That's ridiculous.
So what you think how you think Papa John's feels about them losing this contract? Do they care?
Of course they. How is that a question? Of course they care. It's a giant loss.
For you to say the thing that he said that investor meeting, if the NFL is making him supposedly lose so much money, it shouldn't be no sweat off his back. Like, whatever. Y'all losing less money anyway.
No, but think about it, right? He's saying we're losing money in comparison to the amount that we could be making if all was going well. Now that he completely lost the support of the NFL and has this controversy or the company lost the support of the NFL and has the controversy on their back, they're going to be making way less. So they should have just took that and been cool with it. That was just a result of obvious greed. Like when you're putting, your pizza sales above, social issues. So I don't know. I mean, I understand. I mean, to a point, I guess it's like it's an investors meeting, so I get where your focus is, but still, that was completely inappropriate to say. So, I mean, they better just hope that they can actually get away with this without it cutting profits by like a third or something.
And then on top of that, to lose them to Pizza Hut, like your direct competition. When you think of big pizzas, you think of Papa John's, you think of Pizza Hut.
What about Domino's?
You think Domino's always kind of been 3? I don't know. People think of Domino's and Pizza Hut like on the same tier.
Well, now, see, before
when they
had that bad crust back in the day, it was like they were kind of on the level of slightly above Little Caesars with that hot and ready $5 pizza, So now they got that bomb garlic crust, and now they're kind of, a part of the big 3. In my opinion, at least,
I think you're right, but I always would think that people would be like, all right, it's Pizza Hut, then it's Papa John's, then it's Domino's. Now I think it's Pizza Hut and Domino's neck and neck, and then Papa John's is way down there now. Maybe with Little Caesars.
Oh, I don't know about that far, man. Little Caesars is that like, okay, I don't feel like cooking dinner. Let's just go. I mean, I don't feel like cooking dinner and we don't have that much money. Let's just go get it hot and ready. I
Yeah, but
mean,
Little Caesars got college boy pizza.
yeah, exactly, man. When you broke, that will do. You know what I mean? That's like one step above those frozen dollar pizzas. and I hate to say that because they're not that bad. You know what I mean? I actually enjoy them. Like I used to go ham on some Little Caesars, but now I don't eat meat or dairy really like that, so I can't really enjoy it.
You don't eat meat or dairy?
Yeah, man. I mean, I went vegetarian, which I'm closer to vegan, but the thing is that sometimes I'll eat stuff that has egg in it, or maybe like I might have some chocolate every once in a while that might have some dairy in it. But for the most part, I kind of stick more closely to a vegan diet.
Oh, we got to talk about this. What made you go vegan?
Because, man, the food out here sucks. A lot of stuff. I mean, you can't trust the meat. You don't know what they're doing to the animals. I mean, just seeing a lot about the treatment of animals. You know, I watch so many documentaries, it's Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, which doesn't necessarily dig, or does it? I kind of forgot. I watched them a long time ago. I don't remember if it digs directly into the treatment of animals and the effect of that on your diet. Well, kind of it does, yeah, because his main goal, and that the dude in Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, his main goal is because he's sick and he goes on a juice fast for 30 days. And it just completely clears out his system. It's a really good documentary. You should check it out. So I saw that, Forks Over Knives, and a whole bunch of other ones I can't remember right now. And that really just changed the way I thought about food. And I happened to meet someone who had lupus, right? It was one of my doctors that I met years ago. She was one of the coolest people I ever met. And she just sat there and explained and broke all that stuff down to me because she was really sick. At 14, they said, like, you know, like you only got a little bit of time left. So just enjoy the rest of your life that you have left and just, you know, prepare to die, basically. And, you know, at 14, even with her family, you know, everyone else is eating meat and dairy and all these terrible things. And she decides, you know, I'm gonna go vegan. I don't know exactly, I forgot exactly what inspired that, where she learned it from, but you know, I guess just that drive to survive. She went out there and studied, and you know, and she completely changed her diet, and she's alive and well with 2 kids today, you know, when she wasn't supposed to live past 14. So learning all that from her, that really changed how I thought about food. So
that's impressive.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of willpower to be a person who's used to eating meat. They'd be like, you know what, I give it up.
Yeah, it was rough, man, and it wasn't sudden. No, I dropped pork first, then I dropped beef, and then I sort of started being on a more pescatarian-ish diet. But then it was like, okay, then I start learning about what's going on with the fish. You know what I mean? All the one farmed fish that they're not the greatest for you. And you know, a lot of plastics and stuff in the ocean, just it's like toxic environment. So why would I want food out of a kind of toxic environment? You know what I mean? So they were doing studies and finding plastic bits and stuff from the stuff that we drop in the ocean in the fish. So it's like, I don't really want to eat that. So then I started sticking more to chicken. And then, well, that was it. Drop chicken and, well, boom, vegetarian.
I can't have no conversation with you about this no more.
Hey, listen, man. I'm
gonna kill my urge to eat meat, and I don't want you to kill my urge to eat meat.
Hey, listen, this is, you know, that would make for a really good episode, honestly. Just a full conversation on this kind of stuff. I'm not trying to draw it out too much right now because I know we got another topic. But
we should do that. We definitely should do that.
Yeah, I mean, and try to, yeah, we could see if we could get some other people on that, you know, that maybe change their diets and how that came about. That'd be really interesting if we can actually get that together. Yeah, let's look into that. But yeah, man. But so never for you, never vegetarian, vegan.
I don't think I would, but I don't have anything against vegetables, so it's crazy. You know what I mean? I don't mind like salads and things like that.
Yeah, but it's not just salads though, right? Because Oreos are technically vegan. So there's vegans out there, they eat crap just like the other ones. So now if you were moving more toward a plant-based diet, right? Which is more like that's when you're really focusing on health. You know what I mean? Then it's you'd eat a lot more stuff that involves plants. Of course, it's plant-based diet. But if you wanted your junk food, you could have vegan pizza. I have it all the time. Like I have, I get my vegan cheese. I have the same pasta sauce or marinara sauce that everyone else uses. I get my like plant protein based meats, which I had these meatless meatballs, which were delicious. They're a Gardein brand. Oh man, I made some bomb pizza. So you can have all the same stuff and it tastes just slightly different, but your taste buds will adjust and it's still completely delicious. So it's not that big of a change if you don't want to give up all of your junk food. You know what I mean?
That sounds really interesting.
It is, man. And my mom, like, she hates it though. She hates it because during the holidays, she's like, "Well, what the heck am I supposed to cook? Like, you don't eat pork." Like, she used to put pork in the greens, and and I can't have the dressing because she puts shredded chicken all through the dressing, and we can't eat turkey. So it's like, well, what the heck you gonna eat? No mac and cheese. These do baked macaroni and cheese, all creamy with the sour cream. Can't do dairy. But there's alternatives. So she's like, well, if you guys want to have all those alternative foods, you going ahead, but I'm not cooking it. And it's like, well, dang, like,
that sounds like your mom's racist.
What?
She's a food racist.
Kind of. Like she hates, like, every time. And I'll try to get her like, hey, Mom, you want to try this out? She's like, what's in it? And I try not to tell her. And she'll try it. Like, if she doesn't know, she might give it, she give it a fair shot. But if she knows there's anything like tofu or meatless, this or that, she gives you the straight up stank eye. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. But she's gotten a little bit better. I actually got her to try out this it was a like zucchini and meatless meatball dish with teriyaki sauce and stuff like that. And she loved it. She actually had me make it for dinner, a big old batch of it. So I'm getting to her a little bit.
It's funny that you're explaining to your mom what a vegan is, like a person describes, hey mom, I'm bringing home my white girlfriend.
Yeah. Hey, look, when your whole life is based around meat and the idea of giving it up, it's just about the same difficulty. People still give you that same look like, hey, anybody want to try some of this tofu or this meatless whatever? They just look like, nah, they give you that stank face. Oh man. But anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah. So you want to get into this? What is it? This Donald Trump talking with the Video Game Association? Of course, we know where this is going. This is the same conversation that moronic politicians have been having forever, trying to figure out how if there is a way, which I don't think so, that video games are responsible for violent behavior in people. Now, my opinion straight off, to someone who is mentally unstable, yes, they can be inspired by something that they see. In the same way that someone who is mentally unstable can be inspired by Harry Potter to jump on a broom and try to jump out the window. But that's because they're not completely there. You know what I mean? So, but just to say that it inspires violent behavior overall, it's ridiculous. I mean, you see so many people dying in a movie, especially a horror movie or an action movie where people just getting stabbed and all these terrible things. So seeing that in a video game, I mean, the interactive part, I don't think that plays a big role. Like that's not going to change much. But what are your thoughts on that?
I find it amazing and baffling the hypocrisy of the whole thing.
Hypocrisy.
In a sense where people love to point their fingers at video games.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, all this wild stuff our president is doing is not affecting people.
Like what? Like what would he have done that you could actually put on the level of violence to actually make that comparison?
His rhetoric incites racism on a daily basis.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay. Yeah.
Just in general. Just the things he said. Just the fact that he thought it was okay to say grab a woman by the vagina.
Yeah, that's that's
Being
him.
a person of power.
Yeah. That's totally inappropriate. I mean, but that's a part of what makes him a big joke. You know what I mean? Like he cherry picks, you know what I mean? He calls out this thing while completely leaving this, alone, which is why, everyone's like, okay, you're going to call out. Didn't he call out people for getting down on one knee?
Yeah, he called them sons of bitches.
Yeah, so he called people out on that, but he still hasn't called out the KKK that's been supporting him since day one. And
that's my problem with the whole thing. When you are now, if Trump was just a regular person, a regular citizen, a regular billionaire, I wouldn't give a freak what he said. But you are the president of the United States of America. You have to carry yourself better than that. You represent, not only do you represent us, but people out there take his words as like stone, like what he said is the law of the land. And people will follow his lead on things like that. So when he comes out and says things like video games are poisoning people's minds, people run to it. Just like the fact that he was saying, calling these NFL players bastards and saying they're disrespecting America, which they weren't doing. People ran towards it and was running with it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sit there and you put out rhetoric like that, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And it's crazy to say that because now I don't think it's going to happen, but people can start putting that rhetoric towards video games and saying that, oh, video games are violent. Maybe we need to put more laws on video games. But yet and still, we still haven't gotten laws towards these guns that are actually killing people.
I mean, well, when it comes to the games, I mean, people have been trying to do that for a long time. Society is on some bull crap right now. Everyone's doing things based off of emotion. So, I mean, I could see something negatively happening, but you're going to get a whole bunch of fight. You're going to get a whole bunch of backlash from that. So I don't know how long any of that would actually stand. I don't know. I don't really see too much of that happening. But
just think of the logic behind this. This happened near my home. This kid goes out. This maybe want to call him a trouble kid, whatever you want to call him. Mm-hmm. Goes out and kills all these people. Instead of the talk being about why this happened, or maybe we should increase gun control, which is starting to get to now. Mm-hmm. One of the first things we mentioned was, well, maybe it's the video games.
I mean, of course, that's like a way to throw it off the real issue, because it's like, okay, well, we don't want anything real to happen. They know this is an argument that goes nowhere. That's kind of where I think this is. This is an argument that has been going nowhere because it's ridiculous. So it's a way to distract. You know what I mean? People are going to get so hyped up by the fact that it's ridiculous. The people that aren't for it are going to chime in, and we're going to be so caught up in this that you get to no real solutions. And so things will remain as they are because we're going to be off on something else. And once this dies down, we're going to be in the same place. So but then when it comes to gun control, it's like, what do you think would be the best way to go about this? Because it's like, I don't know. I mean, as far as, I don't want to make it harder for the people that should have them to protect themselves. And I guess I know a lot of people will say no one should have guns. And I get it. And in a perfect world, no one should have them. No one should need them to protect themselves. But I don't want to make it harder for the people that are responsible with guns and actually could use them to get them just because someone that should have never had one got one. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep them out of their hands, but I don't want to make it more difficult for the good gun owners too.
Well, my take on it is this. I don't have a problem with people having guns.
Mm-hmm.
But there needs to be stricter laws on it. I think, for one, 21 and over should be the age to own any type of gun, especially assault rifles. And that wasn't the case.
So, in that case, I definitely understand. Like, these things are the things we need to be talking about and not complete, like, take away all the guns. Because if you get rid of all the guns from our society, all violence goes away. That's the kind of talk that I think is ridiculous.
That's absurd. That would never happen.
Well, that's what everyone's talking about. Every time you hear people talking about gun control, they always talk about Australia or they use examples of places where they got rid of, people's rights to actually to have guns. And it's like, well, we got rid of their guns or they got rid of their guns, and there's been no mass shootings in this amount of time. But they're not really thinking about the specific situation that America is in. You know what I mean? I already said the same thing when I was talking to Sean Capri about this on his podcast, that places like Japan or it was like Australia, these are isolated areas. They're islands, basically, right? Giant islands. So to cut them off, it's more easy to uphold these laws and to contain this problem because it's cut off. But over here, you got Mexico and you got Canada. You'd have to be able to contain those areas and stop guns from coming in on both sides if you actually wanted to contain it. Otherwise, it would just be routes for people that shouldn't have them to get them, while the people that need to go through the legal way of getting guns, it would be difficult, or in that case of taking away all gun rights, impossible for them to get a gun to defend themselves. So it's a harder situation.
Well, the best example of it, for one, the United States has a history of being terrible at completely outlawing things.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to outlaw alcohol, and how did that go? People got it anyway, and they created the mob, essentially. They tried to have a war on drugs, which essentially failed miserably.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It failed, and because people are gonna find a way. You know what I mean? When you have so much, when there's just so much open space, you know what I mean? There's so many routes that haven't been checked. People are gonna find a way to get it, even if you cut it off. I mean, now the liquor thing, that's easy. Like, people just found a way to make it. But manufacturing of weapons, that's a more difficult thing to pull off with. Glad you
brought that up, because my guy D-Spin was saying yesterday when we did the talk was the fact that you can make a gun with a 3D printer.
Oh, jeez.
That's crazy to think about, right? You can easily, because D-Spin's an animator, and he was like, and he does like stuff like that. He was like, you can make a working gun with a 3D printer.
Well, that just means that the more technologically advanced we get, the more impossible this kind of thing is going to be to ever pull off. So, if someone could just be like, hey, I just bought this 3D printer, I'm going to make a gun piece by piece until I can seal it all together. And then, so there, you just got like a plastic rocket.
It's crazy to think about it, but that's right. Yeah. And it's just, we have to realize as Americans that we have to come up with realistic solutions. And a lot of people are not coming up with realistic solutions. Like, the whole arming teachers is the stupidest thing I ever heard.
I don't even understand why that was even an idea. I mean, I think we talked about it, and didn't you say something about, maybe having security or putting police, like that would have made more sense.
Florida's going to start doing.
See, well, that even makes more sense. But hey, let's have the teachers at the gun ranges and have them get them prepared to protect all the students. Like, that's ridiculous. That's not their job. If they're that puts a crazy amount of stress on them. Not only do they have to be responsible for teaching all these students, they also have to be the protector in the event that some type of terror attack happens.
Which they shouldn't have to deal with, which is crazy that they have that. We are even having this conversation that kids have to be scared to go to school.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous, but it's ridiculous and not ridiculous at all. Like on another level, because I know the world. Like, you could just look all throughout history. There's always been crazies around, and they'll do what crazy people do. Not to say that it's acceptable in any way. I'm just saying, like, when people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that this is happening," it's like, do you not know history? So in that way, I'm not blown away. But of course, none of this stuff should ever happen. So,
but unfortunately, this is now the world we live in, where as technology gets a bit more advanced, people find better ways to kill people, and that's crazy.
I honestly have no solutions for it, but it's like, so in these situations, I guess some people would consider my input to be not helpful at all, because it's like I can call out the solutions that they have, that people are coming up with right now, which I think are just completely, they're ridiculous, and a lot of them are just based on emotion. It's not the way to go, but I can't actually give them any ideas on where they should go. So I feel like I'm a bad person to give any input on this. But
well, fortunately for us, our government pays people to do it for us, and that's their job. And like I said on the podcast the other night, what you guys will hear soon, all these kids that are sitting there crying out, telling them to solve this problem, and they're getting ignored. These politicians need to realize in a few years, even if not this year, these kids will be able to vote. So if you don't heed their warning, you won't have a job.
That's very true. That's very true. That conversation, man, that brings the mood down so much. I mean, it's appropriate for the topic, but it's just, man, like, that's crazy. And just to feel like, okay, well, I have nothing to add to it, or you don't really. And I know you say that there's people that are paid to come up with these solutions, but I mean, as we've been seeing for years, like, how many like really competent politicians like do we actually have? That are sitting, because I don't know, they haven't really shown that that many of them are capable of making the right decisions for our society.
Yeah, you're right.
As a whole, now they might make decisions that benefit one side over another, but just something that actually helps us all, it seems like they just have such a hard time with that.
I agree. Well, let's bring the mood back up. We got a question, don't we?
We sure do, which I don't remember it right now.
I got it. It's from my guy That Chalfie on Twitter. His question was, I'm gonna read it verbatim. Question: growing up, did you ever catch any heat for liking the thing that you liked? Being a kid who loved skateboarding, video games, and stuff like that, I was constantly told, "Why are you doing that white boy stuff?" And he didn't say stuff, by the way.
Yeah, trying to keep it PG.
But don't get it twisted. I still wore Dickies and white t-shirts.
Hey, you gotta keep it 100 in some areas, man.
So what's something that you liked as a kid that people thought was kind of nerdy or corny?
Not everything I did was considered nerdy and corny, man. Nobody, like, I spent the majority of my time, like, when I was a kid, around my family. No one understood why I liked, anime, and I get hyped about. I mean, some of them played video games, but they weren't into video games like me. You know what I mean? I had Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I played with, I used to draw anime all the time. I'd be sitting there watching, I got heavy into the subbed anime. You know what I mean? So people just thought of me as an ultra geek. You know what I mean? And so to have that, I mean, but I never really got any negativity for it. I think one, because I usually stuck with a small group, and that small group usually like similar things. So yeah, it was never too bad for me. I always knew that it was something that society didn't think that you should be. Like, that's not the best version of a man or a boy, I guess in my case. Like, you look at who's the most popular ones in school, it's like the football player, or it's like, dang, I want to be like that, but I'm not about to sacrifice who I am. So I never really became super secure in my geekiness until I started watching like Chris Pirillo on YouTube when I was like 13. And just to see a dude that is so geeky, but he had like this crazy level of confidence, it just made me feel like I can actually be secure in myself as I am too, and not just feel like, okay, this is a phase, or when I get around certain people, I'll hide aspects of who I am so that I can appear to be who they want me to be. But anyway, I kind of went off. I can talk, but yeah.
That was good. I actually have one. When I was a kid, I used to get a lot of flack, and I greatly regret listening to the haters on this one. Mm-hmm. And that's why I don't do it now. I used to get a lot of flack for loving cartoons. And when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a cartoonist when I grew up. But one of the things I used to always hear as a kid, and it always stuck with me, there were no black cartoonists.
Oh, well, geez, I mean, that would be encouragement. I mean, well, if who said this to you?
Family members. They were constantly telling me, like, there's no black cartoonists. It's not happening.
Dang, man.
And I used to be deep in the draw. I used to draw every day. I used to love, because even to this day I love cartoons. I like watching the old stuff. I like watching the new stuff with my kids. Mm-hmm. And cartoons and comic books has been like always a big part of my life. So when you start hearing adults, by the way, any adults doing this, you're a dick. Exactly. You shouldn't tell your 100%. Kids in any form or circumstance to give up on their dreams. And that's what I got a lot. And it's crazy because when I got older, when I got to high school, then I started seeing guys like Dwayne McDuffie. I don't know if you know who Dwayne McDuffie is.
The name is really familiar, but I can't place it.
Well, he created Marvel comic books Damage Control for one thing, but you may know him from he helped create Static Shock, mm-hmm. the comic book and the cartoon show. And
yeah, I enjoyed that when I was little.
Even bigger, he helped create the Justice League cartoon show.
Really?
He was a big part of that cartoon show.
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea.
In a lot of the older DC animated movies, he played a big part of making those too. Like Justice League, Doom, and stuff like that.
Which was actually one of my favorites. That's crazy. I never, when it comes to a lot of these animated TV shows and movies and stuff, I never really dig into the creators, which is crazy because like I don't know, like I love that kind of stuff. I love just to see the passion behind the creation of something. You know what I mean? So you'd think I'd really dig into that, but I never really did. No idea why. Just having this conversation kind of makes me want to.
Big time. He was one of my heroes. He created, I don't know if you ever heard of it, for the comic book readers, he created Milestone comic books, which was like this all black comic line. Mm-hmm. And it had Static Shock, it had Icon, Blood Syndicate. It was all African American comic books, and it was very great stories that DC ended up buying it. Mm-hmm. Now, technically, they are part of the DC universe. Like Static Shock is part of the DC universe, and I think Icon was on. You ever watch Young Justice?
No, that's been on my Netflix list forever though, but I never really got into it like I should have.
You gotta watch Young Justice, but Icon, which is one of his characters, was on Young Justice.
So was he like the father of one of them or something like that?
Oh no, Icon is like in short, Icon is Black Superman.
Really?
Yeah. And matter of fact, in one of the comic books, when they like did the big crossover between DC and Milestone, when like Milestone actually came into the DC universe, Icon fought Superman to a standstill.
Oh, that sounds crazy. I wish they would turn that into like an animated series episode.
Yeah,
I'm
Icon
sure
is
I would have
pretty cool.
loved that as a kid.
He's a cool character because he's an alien. He's from another planet like Superman, but he's also a black man.
So he's just straight up Black Superman. Does he have like a kryptonite like weakness too?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, he's kind of he's literally Black Superman. And he has a partner, I think her name is Booster or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's an African American teenage girl who helps him out. It was a real cool comic book series.
Yeah, I never really got into I never really got into comic books in general. Like I first started getting into comic books. I think back in 2015, I bought one. I finally bought my first comic book. And it was like a compilation type deal. It was like a whole bunch of them in one, and it was pretty good. You know, I enjoyed it, but then it was like, okay, well, I finished those. I really enjoyed them. I'm gonna get back to them, and I just didn't. I don't know. I just fell off. So, so one of these days, one of my plans is to just buy one of those subscriptions and just really get into it, so I can catch up on these stories because they're so cool. And while I like watching the the live action versions, I always like wonder, okay, well, what's missing? Like, what am I missing out on here? So I want to know the full backstory. So one of these days, I'm really have to dig into it. I'm gonna need you to give me some recommendations.
Definitely, I definitely will do that. Her name was Rocket, by the way.
What kind of character was she?
She was like she was a sidekick type, Robin type character who used like gadgets to help him and stuff like that. She had like booster skates and things like that help him fight crime. It was pretty cool.
It sounds cool, man. I mean, I love to see Black superheroes. I mean, just that visual. I mean, it's really cool. Other than, because while the other characters are cool, it's like you don't ever have to be like, okay, well, I'm the black or like the black version of that character. You know what I mean? Like if you, as a kid, when you're imagining yourself as that character, or you know what I mean? It's like you can just clearly see yourself in that place of the character because they're very much like you. So I wish I would have got deeper into all of that stuff when I was younger.
Definitely, man. Man, great question, Jalfi.
Yeah, man. So I think you think that's it? I think we had a good run, man.
Yeah, I think we outdid ourselves with this one.
Yeah, we had
about Trump. I got angry about killing people's dreams.
Yeah, we had a good one, man. Dang. First, I was afraid, like, okay, well, dang, we don't have any topics. Like, what is this gonna be? We just gonna freestyle it? This might be a short episode today, but no, it turned out to be a good one. Dang. So, I think that's about it. Of course, as always, I want to make it just at the end, you throw out the socials. So, hey, go for it, Delvin.
Delvin underscore Cox on Twitter. And make sure you check out my other podcast, the Delvin Cox Experience, on any podcast network you like. Google Play, iTunes. And also, me and Joey got something coming up real soon. We're going to have a cool... Should we just say it?
Go for it, man. Let them know.
We're building a cool website, not only for Skyward Cast, but for everything, man. It's gonna be big. I can't get too many of the details of it yet, but once we get it situated out, we're gonna let you guys know, and it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. We need to really dig into that a little more. I've been so focused on making this work and other stuff that's been going on lately that I haven't really been to really get in that conversation with you, but yeah, it's gonna be something. I got a good vibe about it, man. But it's gonna be serious. But yeah, I mean, my social links at SkywardKing, just all together, no dash, no dot in between, all together. And I think that's about it, right? You got anything else to say?
No, that's it, man.
Yeah, maybe next week we actually get our third host on here. Hopefully that'll work out. But yeah, definitely. Thanks for checking us out. Talk to y'all next time.
Peace.